intro for Doctor. She's one of the most amazing people I have met in Dubai. She's traveled all the way from France to be here because she's working on one of her documentaries in Dubai. By chance, we met on Friday, and then I invited her and she accepted the invitation. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Nousheen.
Dr. Andrea is a creative visionary. She's a medical doctor. She's also a bit of a psychologist. She's a media communications expert. You will never find the like of anywhere else.
That's true. It's actually true because of the combination of all the things I do.
True. So when I met with her, I was surprised by the number of things that she's been doing all over the world, building global brands, bringing people to the limelight, making changes and differences in their lives. And that's how we thought you should know more about her through the show. So, dear Dr. Andrea, welcome to Dubai.
Thank you.
I hope you like the city.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. She's here only for 2 days.
Yeah. It's a short trip, but it's been amazing. Like the scenery, that I've only seen on television or, in magazines. It's pretty incredible.
True. I agree with you. I came here 10 years ago and it was fabulous. The first year was just tourism for me.
Yeah.
I was literally not doing much, just having fun. So, moving on, did you get the chance to interact with more people in the city? Did you like meeting with different kinds?
Yes, I didn't really meet very many people, but we did some tourist stuff.
Okay.
Of course, we visited the Mall of Dubai. Of course, you have to do that, right? It's the world's largest mall. And then we go to the world's largest tower. So getting to go up to the Burj Khalifa and having just this amazing panoramic view of Dubai and all the way to Saudi Arabia, maybe. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is.
It's one of those things that when you see it in a magazine, it looks beautiful, but to actually be here is impressive.
Impressive, yeah, true. I agree with you, definitely. So, moving on, as a branding expert, you have changed so many lives. You've helped people understand what they really need to do to stand out. Yeah. So, how did this experience of helping everybody influence your own life?
Well, it's really been one of these things where from my heart, I wanted to help people avoid the mistakes that I did. Mm-hmm. So we were talking before about my work at Discovery Channel, but what I didn't tell you is that originally when I started working for the TV network, I thought I was going to be on TV because I was recruited as their medical director and the health channel was completely new and I wanted to host documentaries.
Yeah.
But the person who was in charge of production told me that I looked too young. He said, no one's going to believe you're a doctor. And so for the first year, I was not on TV.
The whole year?
The first year, all I did was supervise scripts. I recruited physicians to work on our advisory board. Mm-hmm. I helped create the new website and the content. Mm-hmm. But after that, we had a new president who took over the network and he had a vision. It all really does start with a vision. And he said, I want you to anchor the news. So I became a news anchor for the health news. And then shortly thereafter, I was given my own show. So I started hosting my own show. But that guy, the head of production, he was still there. And so he said, well, we're going to have to make you look older.
He seems to be a stingy kind of a guy. No?
Yeah, so he's like putting me in all these, suit jackets and styling my hair and my makeup to make me look older. Mm-hmm. And as I was telling you before we started shooting, when I was a little girl, I was a performer. I was an actor and a singer. Mm. So at the beginning of my career, it didn't bother me. I thought, okay, fine. They want me to look older. I'll look older. But over time,
pretend.
Exactly, like pretend, like I am a doctor, but I'm pretending to be this older, mature newswoman. But the problem with that was after a couple of years, Discovery Health Channel had spread across the country. We were in 85 million homes. And people on the street started to recognize me. And they were thinking that I was that boring image that they saw on the TV. And if you don't consciously create your brand, it wasn't conscious. It was just a reaction. It was like, okay, they want me to look older. They want me to sound a certain way and speak a certain way. But it wasn't the real me. Like, I am just a relaxed person. Yes, I'm a doctor, but I'm a normal human.
Yeah, sweet.
And so by not creating my brand consciously, over time, it really started to bother me, because I was being recognized as this person that is not me. And I also felt very, very limited. I got to a point where I had this big wellness center and I was doing TV, and there was so much responsibility on me. But what I didn't realize was all of it was built on that brand image, that Dr. Andrea image.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. And so when I finally got free from that and created my new brand, which is just 100% the authentic me, other people started asking me, well, how did you do this? How do you get on TV? How do you get on these stages? So I started just coaching people. It wasn't my intention to create a business.
Yeah.
But little by little, I started becoming known for helping people create an authentic personal brand and getting their message out to the world through books, through public speaking, and through TV. And that's how it grew. And so now helping other people is just my way of giving back. It's my way of helping them be who they really are, so that when you create that brand, it's sustainable. Because for me, it wasn't sustainable. There was no way I could keep being that person because it was boring.
Yeah.
After a couple of years, it was really boring.
I agree with you. A lot of people just take up things because that's the thing to do.
Yes.
And that's the thing other people want them to do.
Yes.
They end up not being themselves. They end up into something fake. I've observed it quite often in my experience of branding as well. And just like you, I agree to the fact that you just need to unleash the awesome inside you.
Yes. Unleash your awesome.
That's all. So, what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced other than finding your muse and getting the independence of being yourself?
I think the biggest challenge was, for me, finally coming all the way out. So I just mentioned Unleash Your Awesome.
Yeah.
There's actually a colleague of mine in the UK, Taz Thornton.
I'm connected to her.
Ah, okay. Well, then you know Taz. She's got this bright pink hair, and she is out there in your face. And one of the things that she said, she was in the audience at one of the events that I spoke at, and I was talking about spirituality and meditation and the things that I really, really love. And she said, look, Andrea, quit making excuses and just own it. This is what you're into. You're into this hippie stuff. She used a different word, but she's like, just own it. And so the biggest challenge for me in the beginning, it's not a challenge now, but in the beginning it was like, if I share all of the woo-woo hippie in me, will people still take me seriously? Because I'm a serious doctor, I'm a scientist, I'm a therapist. That was the biggest thing. But as soon as I did come out about my real experiences, the fact that I did deal with depression all those years ago, once I got over that and I realized people were not judging me, people were actually grateful that I opened up because it allowed them to open up.
They could connect with you
Exactly.
easily.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure they realized you're more human, you're more approachable.
Exactly. And that was the biggest thing. And once I realized, okay, I didn't die. Nobody's saying, oh, we don't want to be associated with you. In fact, it started to bring me more clients and more opportunities and more bookings. But once I felt comfortable with it, now I've done it. I've published books, I've given TED Talks, I've gone on TV talking about the things that are deep in my heart and my soul. And that's allowed me to bring all of me together in one cohesive brand, so that I'm not wearing different hats and different masks. There's just one Drea, as we say.
Yeah, everything is going in a flow.
It's aligned, yeah.
Amazing. Impressive.
Well, I don't know if it's impressive, but it's definitely more fun than what I was doing before.
I'm sure. So what were some of the motivating triggers for you? What were the things that were pushing you towards your goals?
Well, I'm a creator. That's my passion. So even though I love science. I love all of what I'm doing with psychology. At my core, I'm an artist. So I love creating new things. So for me, what drives me is how do we tell stories that can unlock for people their own keys to finding their own strengths, to finding their own healing, to finding their own voice. That's been the thing that's driven me. It's the artistic passion. Because if I can tune into the creative ways of helping people get free or setting people on their path, then I feel good, and ultimately they're going to have success as well.
True. Agree with you. I have understood one fact from my experience of these 2 days with you. It's very important for a person to be authentic.
Yeah.
Why do you think some people fail to be authentic? Why do they do things that are not naturally them?
Well, you mentioned it before. We are all pushed and nudged and programmed and socialized to fit in. Yeah. Like it's part of the culture and definitely with society that you want to fit in, you want to be accepted. So from a very young age, from birth, from our childhood, we're pushed in that way. And so I think when people get to the business level and they want to create something, there's this reflexive, automatic thinking that, okay, let me look at the marketplace and let me copy someone else.
Yeah, because everybody else is selling. So if I do this, I'll also be able to sell it.
The unfortunate thing is then you're just looking for better sameness. It's like the same but better. Whereas if you're trying to be a copycat, again, it's not sustainable. At least in my experience, when you get to the level of the big brands, and I've had the good pleasure of being able to, with a career in Hollywood is easy, hanging out with people like Beyonce and Jay-Z and, Michael Jordan, like all these big stars. And you recognize that if you're going to have a sustainable career, you cannot be copying anyone else.
Yeah.
You have got to be yourself. And for me, that was the challenge with my first career. It wasn't sustainable because I couldn't keep being that same boring person. It wasn't true to me. So I think even though it's our cultural habit to look around and copy everyone, we've got to tune into our gifts and talents. Yeah. It's like what you said in the introduction. If you can tune into your talents and then bring that to your work, that's what makes you unique. Yeah. So you don't have to compete with anyone. I mean, at my company, we don't even believe in competition. We believe in collaboration. Like there's more than enough for everyone. So we may do a similar type of work, but you have a whole set of experiences. You have cultural experiences, you have your personal experiences, your professional experiences, as do I. And those make me unique.
So no matter what brings them to do the things they do, they should not copy. This is what we read.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if there are many coaches or healers or therapists or consultants that have similar qualifications or a similar job title. Each of us is unique. And it's the gifts and the talents that you have. It's the past experience. It's also what motivates you. All of those things make you unique.
Yes.
And then if you can be authentically you, you're going to find that you attract the kinds of people who you can actually help. Because you also get to a certain level where integrity, for me, is a big deal. You don't want to attract every client out there because you may not be able to give them the best result. You might give them great results. But for me personally, I would much rather attract the kind of client that I can get to the top of their game without any, excess effort or friction because we're in a flow. Yeah. And then for other people, maybe these extra people who are out there who need a branding or a media consultant, they'll go to someone else who's a better fit for them. But it requires two things. It requires, one, a shift in your mindset. You've got to believe in abundance. And I happen to know that there's more than enough for everyone. And when you have an abundance mindset, then you can stop trying to compete with other people and just say, you know what, let me be me and let me attract the people who are meant to be with me that I can actually help and deliver the best. And I've found that that's true with doctors, with healers, with therapists, as well as coaches and other authors. If you're authentic and you're coming from a heart space, it's going to be much more likely that you'll attract the right kind of clients.
True. Yes. So, coming to the point of authenticity, did it really help you on with your career when you shifted from being that particular doctor to a different doctor?
The fake
altogether?
Dr. Andrea.
Yeah. So, what was authenticity like for you when you were into media productions work? Like, how did it help you on the stage? Was it like, I have seen some coaches standing out, backstage behind the door with a paper in hand, trying to memorize what they have to say next.
Yeah.
So, do you believe that if somebody is more into memorizing what they're going to say on stage rather than being authentic, they're different?
Well, I think when you start to compare what it's like when you rehearse everything and you memorize everything, or even reading from a teleprompter like I did with TV, to just being in the flow, the difference is the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I remember a very clear transition point for me. I was shooting a documentary series following me through my pregnancy and while I was working in my wellness center. And so I came from being a TV host where you read on a teleprompter, so every word is perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
And here I'm doing this reality documentary series while I'm pregnant. So in the very beginning of the episodes, I'm trying to be perfect. Like, okay, what's the shot about? And I'm trying to make sure everything is there. And what are my points? But there came a point, and I'm sure you probably know this point as a mom. I got to a point in my pregnancy where I was just tired.
Yes.
Like I wasn't sleeping well. I was at a point where I was like, okay, I cannot sit up and memorize lines. We're just going to have to take this naturally. And that was a shift for me. And you know what happened? People started to notice. They were like, you look more comfortable. And I'm like, well, I have no choice because, I had this big belly and it was just like, I just have to tune in and get comfortable to get through these shoots. And that's where the turning point came. So later when I got on big stages and did my first TED Talk where I was just sharing from the heart, yes, I still memorized my script, but I was coming from a different place, a much more vulnerable place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't perfect. I still made mistakes, but there was a difference in the energy. And even though I made mistakes, there were people who came to me, and they keep coming. I mean, that TED Talk has gotten like 1.8 million views the last time I checked.
That's
people,
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. People are telling me, I could really feel you, and your story is just like my story. So that's the difference. Even though people liked my career before, and they said, oh, I watch your show every week, it wasn't the same kind of connection and warmth. Exactly, warmth. And so when you make that shift to just being your authentic self without trying to be perfect, there's a change in the energy. You feel more connection, you feel more warmth, and everyone actually has a better result.
I understand that.